Hello everyone, this is the Board Game Lawyer, and today I'm in the mood to play a game of Marvel Champions. It's a game by Fantasy Flight Games. So my buddies over at Critical Encounters have issued a challenge to the community, and I call this challenge Rhino's Hyde. And I'll explain to you how this works. So what they've asked us to do is to build a Justice deck, or a deck that includes Justice, and to use this card. This is one of my favorite cards, by the way. It's called One Way or Another. I put 3 copies of this card in my deck today. It does have a max 1 per round. It says that it has a hero action. Search the encounter deck for a side scheme, reveal that side scheme, and draw 3 cards. What a wonderful card, right? Okay, but here's the rule, is when you draw this card into your hand, that during your next turn, you are to dig into your encounter deck to find this side scheme. It's called self-experimentation. And here's how it reads. It says, when revealed, search the encounter deck and discard pile for Mister Hyde and reveal him, and then shuffle your deck. And then it has a forced interrupt. When a brute enemy would take any amount of damage, remove that much threat from this scheme instead. And so it tells us to go find Mister Hyde. Well, what's the deal with Mister Hyde? Why is that such a interesting card? Well, here's Mister Hyde. He is a minion. But he's not just any minion. He's a minion who has a scheme of 1. He has an attack of 3. And he has hit points of 10. He's a brute, so he works in harmony with that forced interrupt on our card there. And it says, and then it says, when he's revealed, if Calvin Zabo, who is another minion in our deck, is engaged with a player, discard Calvin Zabo. Mister Hyde engages that player. Give Mister Hyde a tough status card and deal 1 damage to each hero and ally in play. So this is a pretty stout minion that we'll be bringing out into the game. So, all right, so we'll go ahead and shuffle those cards into our deck now that we've kind of understand what the point is here. And it's also, it mentions that when a brute would take any amount of damage. Now, Rhino is a brute as well. So we won't be doing any damage to Rhino while self-experimentation is on the table, because that damage would turn into removal of threat from this threat, and it has 5 threat on it for me since I'm playing in solo. So I'll go ahead and shuffle these cards into my encounter deck. And shuffle up my encounter deck. So we're going to be playing Expert Rhino today. And Expert Rhino, he has a main scheme, which real difficult setup there. It says advance to stage 1B. All right, so we'll go ahead and do that. If the stage is completed, the players lose the game. It begins the game with 0 threats, and all it takes is 7 to lose the game. All right. So Rhino 2 and 3 is who we'll be using. Let's take a look at Rhino here. So he starts with 15 hit points. He has a scheme of 1. He has an attack of 3. And it says, when revealed, search the encounter deck and discard pile for the break-in and taken side scheme. And reveal it. Shuffle the encounter deck. All right, so we have the breaking and taken side scheme here. It says, when revealed, place 1 additional threat per player here. So it's 2 plus 1 is 3. And it has a hazard icon on it, meaning that I will have to deal myself an additional encounter card. All right, so that's Rhino. Let's take a look at Wasp. So we have Nadia Van Dyne. That is our alter ego. She has a girl action. Shuffle up to 2 cards with a printed mental resource from your discard pile into your deck. And you can do this for a limit of once per round. And she begins the game with 11 hit points. So I'm going to shuffle that One Way or Another card into my player deck. And Nadia Van Dyne is going to start with a hand size of 6. Let's get that hero deck shuffled real well. And as we flip to our hero side on Nadia Van Dyne, we'll look at her tiny form first. It says, small but mighty response after Wasp or an event you play defeats a minion or side scheme, deal 1 damage to the villain. And then on her giant side, which we'll flip that open, it says here that threat you remove using your basic thwart power. So we have a basic thwart power of 2. Can be divided among schemes as you choose. And then it has damage you deal using your basic attack power. Can be divided among enemies as you choose. All right, so there's our Nadia Van Dyne. We'll draw up our hand size of 6 and begin our game. Now, just let everybody know, if you see any rules blunders that I make, or if you see a card that I misinterpreted, don't be afraid to put that in the comments down below. That's how I learn, and it's how others learn as well. And it doesn't hurt my feelings a bit. All right, so we draw the followed card. We're going to draw the one way or another. So here we go, one way or another. Pinpoint Strike. Deals 7 damage to an enemy if you're in tiny form. This attack gains 1 additional damage to that enemy and gains overkill. We have Spider-Man. We draw Giant Help. And we also will draw another followed card. Attached to a side scheme, max 1 per scheme. Okay. So I think what we'll do to begin is let's discard Spider-Man as part of our mulligan. And we'll also, let's discard Giant Help. We'll keep that Pinpoint Strike, and we'll keep a followed card. And we'll draw 3 more cards. So we'll draw up the Quasar. We'll draw Pim Particles. After you spin this card, heal 2 damage to your hero if you're in giant form, or draw 1 card if you're in tiny form. And For Justice. Okay, so there's our hand size of 6. This is a forced card. Shall we use it now? I'd say why not? We'll go ahead and play our one way or another card. Search the encounter deck for a side scheme, reveal that side scheme, and draw 3 cards. So we'll go find our Mister Hyde right away. So let's look for him. Let's see where I shuffled those in. There's Mister Hyde. We'll recall that we have to bring him out with that side scheme. And self-experimentation. So there we go. All right, shuffle that up. It comes into play with 5 thread on it. Okay. And then here's our Mister Hyde. He gets a tough status card, and I deal 1 damage to each hero and ally in play. So Nadia Van Dyne's going to take some damage already. And he gets his tough card. But I do get to draw 3 cards, so that is a bonus. So here we go with Clear the Area, Genius, and another one way or another. All right, so I do like Quasar. Quasar says, after Quasar enters play, remove 1 threat from each scheme in play. Here's where we can remove 4 threat if we pay for this with a mental. Well, we do have 2 mental resources there. If we play For Justice using that. Tell you what, let's flip over to our tiny form. So now we are in our tiny form. After Wasp or an event you play defeats a minion or side scheme, deal 1 damage to the villain. I think we will attack with Wasp to move that tough card from Mister Hyde. Oh, nope, can't do that. It says when I take any amount of damage, remove that much threat from this scheme instead. Ooh. Yeah, so we need to think about removing threat from the schemes first. Okay. So if we play the For Justice card, I can remove 4 threat from self-experimentation. So we'll do that. Let's go ahead and remove 4 threat from that self-experimentation. So that takes it down to 1. And we do have Quasar. Or I have Clear the Area. I think I'll hang on to Clear the Area. We'll play Quasar next. And we're going to spend 1, 2... Ooh, I hate to use the pinpoint strike. I really do hate to do that. Because that deals 7 damage, 8 damage to a character. And overkill. Tell you what we'll do. We'll go ahead and just play Clear the Area. Clear the Area. That'll remove 2 threat from a scheme. And we'll also... Let's play our pin particles to put that followed card onto... Wow, that's not good either. That was a thinker. So pin particles. And if I spin one way or another, and I spin followed... This is a little puzzly, because Quasar would remove a threat from each side scheme in play. So if I do that, tell you what, let's do this. Let's spend the pin particle to play Clear the Area. Advantage to that. After you spin this card in tiny form, I can draw a card. And if I remove the last threat from a scheme, I could draw a card. So by spending this to play this, on self-experimentation, that will be gone. Yeah, that will be gone. And I can then draw 2 cards. Yep, that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to draw 2 cards. We're going to draw Chance Encounter. When attached side scheme is defeated, search your deck and discard pile for an ally and add it to your hand. Shuffle your deck. And one more card is another pinpoint strike. So do we remove threat? Can't really now. Can't do much with breaking and taking now because it's got 3 threat on it. And yeah, I could use Quasar to get rid of it. So if I spent 3, let's put a Chance Encounter onto breaking and taking. When attached scheme is defeated, search your deck and discard pile for an ally and add it to your hand. Shuffle your deck. And we'll also put... So we'll spend one way or another followed and pinpoint strike to put Quasar onto the table. So Quasar comes out. After Quasar enters play, remove 1 threat from each side scheme in play. So we're going to remove 1 threat from breaking and taking. And then Quasar can remove 1 threat from breaking and taking. And Wasp, she too will remove 1 threat from breaking and taking. So breaking and taking is defeated. Place an additional threat here, so that one's gone. We trigger our upgrade. When attached side scheme is defeated, search your deck and discard pile for an ally and add it to your hand. Shuffle your deck. Add it to your hand. Add it to your hand and shuffle your deck. Ooh, I misread that one. I thought maybe it was put it out on the table, but it says I can go find an ally and put it in my hand. Let's take and put Lockjaw into our hand. And we'll shuffle our deck. Well, I probably misplayed that first round. That's okay. And Lockjaw. It's been a long time since I played with Wasp, by the way. I bet it's been probably 6 months since I played with Wasp. So Lockjaw We're going to discard Lockjaw because that's where he belongs, is in the discard pile. Because he can come out of there. You may play Lockjaw from your discard pile during your turn. We're going to hang on to that Pinpoint Strike. Hopefully be able to use it in our next round. So we'll ready Quasar. And we'll ready Wasp. And we'll draw up our hand size of 5 now. So we've got Rapid Growth. Clear the area. Chance Encounter. And Giant Help. Okay. All right, so Rhino is going to attack after he places 1 threat on his main scheme. He's going to attack Wasp. We got to put 1 consequential damage there for the removing that threat earlier. Rhino is going to attack Wasp for 3 plus 2 is 5. So it does 5 damage to Wasp, so she's knocked all the way down to 5. And then Mister Hyde's also going to do 3 damage to Wasp, knock her down to 2. We draw our encounter card, and it is the Master Plan. When revealed, place 4 threat on each side scheme. If there is no side scheme in play, discard cards from the top of the encounter deck until a side scheme is discarded. Reveal that side scheme. So here we go. There's no side schemes in play, so here's our cards we're discarding. You can look at them as we go. We got Stampede. Not many side schemes, I don't think, in this deck. I'm Tough. Here's Crowd Control. It comes into play with 2 threat on it, and it has a crisis icon, meaning I can't remove anything from the break-in while Crowd Control is on the table. And we'll place 2 threat there. Don't play Expert near as much as I do. Let's just make sure, reveal that side scheme. Okay, so that's the only thing with that card. I was just checking to make sure we didn't have to add any extra threat or anything on it. So that will end the Rhino's turn. Let's do this. How about we put a Chance Encounter out. When attached side scheme is defeated, search your deck and discard pile for an ally and add it to your hand. Reshuffle your deck. And we got the Pinpoint Strike and clear the area. Let's see. If we use Chance Encounter. And Pinpoint Strike. I really like the Pinpoint Strike, so I tell you what I'm going to do. So I'm going to put Chance Encounter out onto the table, onto Crowd Control, and Wasp is going to attack Mister Hyde to remove that Tough card. And then Quasar is going to attack Mister Hyde for 2. And then we're going to use that Pinpoint Strike. Deal 7 damage to an enemy. If you're in tiny form, this attack deals 1 additional damage to that enemy and gains overkill. So we'll spend these 3 resources here to do that Pinpoint Strike to do 8 damage onto Mister Hyde. And we'll remove Mister Hyde from the game. And that was 1 consequential damage onto Quasar. And Mister Hyde is defeated. That was fun. All right. So then I think what we'll do next is we're going to flip over into our Nadia Van Dyne, our alter ego form, and use her girl action. Shuffle up to 2 cards with a printed mental resource from your discard pile into your deck. So I do like Pinpoint Strike, and I've got a couple of those. So I'll go grab those Pinpoint Strikes to shuffle those into my deck. Shuffling. And then that'll allow us to draw 6 cards. Okay. So Nadia Van Dyne, we'll ready her, and Quasar, and we'll draw our 6 cards. We got one way or another. I don't know if I have any more side schemes in my deck over there. I can't remember if I got any more or not. I only had that one from the modular set, and I had one that I'd already brought out at the beginning of the game, and then crowd control. That might be all of the encounter cards that I've got in the deck. So there's 3, there's 4, 5, and 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Forget 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Excellent. So Rhino is going to place 1 threat, and then he is going to scheme for 1 plus 3 is 4. So we are dangerously close to threading out all of a sudden. 1 away, and then we draw our encounter card, which is the Stampede Alter Ego. This card gains Surge. And then we draw another one, another Stampede, gains Surge. We surge into a Wind Reveal. Discard an upgrade or support you control. If no cards were discarded this way, this card gains Surge. So there is an upgrade on the table that I control. It's that chance encounter. We'll discard it. And that will end the Rhino's turn. Oof. Ouch. Okay. Wasp's helmet. How about we do this? Oh, we got that threat that we need to remove off of crowd control too. Ouch. That's tough. I think that's what we're going to have to do. We're going to have to switch over to our giant form. If we want to remove the 2 threat off of crowd control, does it make any sense in giant form? It would if I put my helmet on. Why don't I do that? While I'm up in giant form, I will spend 2 resources to put that helmet onto Wasp. Gives her additional thwart. So she'll thwart, and we can spread that among schemes in play. So she is going to thwart for 2 off of crowd control. And 1 off of the break-in. And then we will use a pinpoint strike. We'll spend 1, 2, 3 resources to play a pinpoint strike to deal 7 damage to an enemy. So we'll do that 7 to the Rhino. And should we do 2 with Quasar or just use him as a chumper? I think we're going to have to chump. That's probably necessary for us to use him as a chumper. So now that we're in our giant form, we draw our hand size of 5. So we have a Skilled Investigator, 4 Justice, Biosynthetic Wings, gain the aerial trait. When you would take any amount of damage, if you are in tiny form, exhaust synthetic wings to prevent 1 of that damage. We also draw Rapid Growth and Wasp Sting. Hero action: if you're in giant form, deal 4 total damage, divided among enemies as you choose. Hero action: if you are in tiny form, deal 5 damage to an enemy. So that's our Wasp Sting. Okay, so the break-in gets a threat placed on it. Rhino is going to attack Wasp. Quasar is going to jump out in front for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 damage onto Quasar. Quasar is defeated. And then our encounter card is the Hydra Mercenary, who is a guard. While this minion is engaged with you, you cannot attack the villain. So there is another minion on the table. For Justice, Skilled Investigator. That's a resource now. No side schemes in play. All right, so 2 attack onto the Hydra Mercenary. Hero action. If you're in giant form, deal a total of 4 damage divided among enemies as you choose. Let's do that. So we're going to do, while we are in hero form, we're going to spend 2 resources, Skilled Investigator, and let's see, Rapid Growth. Use one of your basic. That's an event. So if we do the Wasp Sting, Hero Interrupt, when you use one of your hero's basic powers, thwart, attack, or defense, change to your giant hero form and get +2 to the power, to that power for this use. I like that. So why don't we do this? We'll flip over to our Wasp side. Yep, that's our flip. And we'll play that Wasp Sting. If you are in tiny form, deal 5 damage to an enemy. We'll spend these 2 to do 5 damage to the Hydra Mercenary. You know what? I may want to instead stay in giant form because this one doesn't give me the option to split damage. So that makes more sense. Stay up in my hero, my giant form. So ignore that flip for now. We'll do the Wasp Sting. We'll do 4 damage, 3 to the Hydra Mercenary, and then 1 to Rhino using the Wasp Sting. Yeah, I like that idea better. So 3, and then 1. Really probably didn't matter because it's in my tiny form that I would okay, so yeah, we'll do that instead. We'll flip down now to our hero, our tiny form, and then we'll play Rapid Growth. It says when you use one Hero Interrupt, when you use one of your heroes, change to your giant hero form and get +2 to the power for that use. So let's do a Rapid Growth to flip over to our giant form, and then we will get +2 to my thwart, which will take 5 threat off of this scheme. Take 4 threat off the scheme. So it's down to 2. Yeah, I like that. And then we already flipped, so and an additional 1 because of the helmet. Yep. Like I said, it's been a while since I used Wasp, but it's nice to break out these heroes that you don't use very often to see how they play. And it makes the game fresh. That's for sure. There's so many heroes now in the game that there's no way that a person could, even if you played one every day of the month, you would just get through all the heroes that we have now, which is a tremendous upgrade from where we were a couple years ago. Okay, so we'll draw some cards. We're going to draw the Red Room Training, the Ant-Man, Heroic Intuition, Strength, and a Pinpoint Strike. All right, so the break-in gets 1 threat placed on it. The attack, we're going to have to block the attack. It's too much damage for us to absorb. So 3 is what we're going to defend. So he does an attack of 3 plus 2 is 5. Well, guys, looks like Wasp is defeated. All right, well, I guess we're going to lose this game to Expert Rhino using Wasp. But you know what? I hope this makes the guys over at Critical Encounters proud, because the villain, the most basic villain that there is out there, can still do some work, particularly with this challenge that we used today. So thanks for watching the playthrough. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, that's great. Thank you for watching. I'm going to give a big thank you, too, to the guys over at Critical Encounters for issuing this challenge. And speaking of Critical Encounters, if you have not picked up a copy of Sinister Motives yet, they are currently running a contest wherein you can win a copy of Sinister Motives campaign box. So that's pretty cool. Even if you already picked up yours, maybe you've got a friend that you want to introduce to the game, you can give him that campaign box. All you need to do is listen to issue 113 of their podcast. You can find that on any podcast outlet. And you can also listen to the podcast on YouTube to find out how you can win. And I will also include a link down below to that video. This contest expires in early May, so you want to make sure that you get your entries out there soon. If you enjoy watching my videos, I encourage you to like and subscribe. That way you can catch the next one when it comes out. If you'd like to get in touch with me, you can shoot me an email. I am boardgamelawyer@gmail.com. Thank you for watching today. I hope you have a great week, and I'll see you again very soon.